Hey guys, it's Miss Elander here, and today we're going to talk about secondary sources for analyzing literature. So last semester in 1301, we did do research, and we found sources that backed up our understanding of our specific issue. We went onto the databases and we found peer-reviewed articles about the topics we needed to research. In literature 1302, we will also be doing secondary sources, but these are going to be a little bit different than the ones we did last time. Where we're finding support for an argument and understanding our last semester, this semester we're going to be finding critical essays that explain what the meaning of a story is or give us an interpretation of it. So in the study of literature, these could be things like author interviews or historical information about the setting or the time period, or a psychological approach to understanding one of the characters. When we do these sources, they're normally called critical essays or literary criticism. So what are critical essays? They might be referenced as a couple of things, like I said, literary criticism, critical essays, research, or literary analysis. But what these are scholars, reputable people who are getting their degrees in a specific subject area, are studying and writing about specific text, authors, and themes. So these scholars then read what other people interpret the stories as, and then respond with their own interpretation. So we're building upon layers of scholarship. People are reading a story, interpreting it, and explaining it, and someone is coming through and reading that on top of the story and pulling a deeper and deeper, more rich understanding of the text. These articles are then published in academic journals, and they're not usually widely available on the internet. So if you're able to find something just from Googling it, especially if it's something like Smoop or any of those other websites, that's not literary criticism. It might be an interpretation, but it itself is not criticism. So why do we want to use literary criticism or research essays instead of something like Smoop? Well, first, it's going to deepen your understanding of the story, but it also is going to approach it in a much more detailed, thoughtful way by experts in that field. So when we're doing this kind of research, we're building upon the academic sphere. So the people before us are reading these and adding details and thinking about this, and this is a convention of collegiate life. Professors do this. They constantly are pulling out research, and we're adding to the knowledge base of the area around us. So why we do it? To expand our academic sphere, to make our knowledge more and further and deeper, but also it shows you that you can understand your reading and writing comprehension and demonstrate that you can understand and process this kind of information. While reading this is hard, this is going to make you better at reading difficult texts, which will really help you in the future. So now that we know what they are, how do we actually use literary criticism in our writing? So the first thing we have to do is we have to read them, and this can take a significant amount of time. I always laughed because when I was in graduate school, for each class you read a novel a week, and then you'd read about 2 to 3 critical essays. So the essays themselves are about 10 to 20 pages, and the novels would be in the hundreds. I could always read my novels faster than I could read the 20-page academic articles. And the reason that is because these are very specific in their style and the content of them. They're talking about different articles, and they're referencing other professors and other academics, and what they're doing is they're talking about a lot of really rich information in a really detailed way, and that you might have to look up information. So the trick to this is, one, slow down. If you don't understand the reference to other writers or other critics, don't let that get the better of you. Just understand what you can. Read what you can understand from it. And these are meant to be read slowly. So it's not going to be a quick read for you. Take your time and then underline phrases to look up. Do all those critical reading skills you do for reading in your short stories on this essay. Another thing I recommend is that you print the papers if you can. Once you find an article that you're really connected to, print it if you have that ability, or open one of those PDF editing applications on your computer. Writing on top of the reading is going to make it easier to understand and help you to keep your thought process aligned. So next, After you've found your article, you're reading it slow, you want to identify what the argument is the author is making. This is just their thesis. So just like your essays, consider the title. What are they telling you it's going to be about? And then look for the main ideas of each paragraph and paraphrase the idea in the margin. A good writer is going to do this in a very structured way, the same way we teach you to write. The thesis should come at the end of the first paragraph in the main section. And then each topic sentence should be the main idea for the paragraph, or the last sentence should be the summary of that paragraph. So consider breaking down the essays in that manner and writing and paraphrasing the ideas in your own words. Just like when we read through a story and we paraphrase sections we don't understand, you can do that same skill when you are reading these academic sources. Once you've done that, consider how the main ideas of each one of these paragraphs connect back to that title and that thesis. How do they all come together to give you an argument of the story or an interpretation? Once we understand what the articles and those critical essays are telling us, what we want to do is then apply them to our own essays. So most of the time you use them by two things. You can paraphrase their own articles, so by putting it in your own words and summarizing their argument. You may use both, but you always have to give credit back to the author. A paraphrase without citing your source means that you're stealing their ideas, which is plagiarism. Or the one we usually use is we either agree with their argument, we disagree with their argument, or we qualify it. Take some of these ideas from the essay and either offer further support, that'd be agree. Offer contradictory evidence, so if you disagree with their interpretation, or suggest limitations of their argument. Like, it's only true if this case, but not in that case. Our idea is good, but it overreaches what they've written it to say. If you choose to disagree or qualify the information that another author is using, be careful about it, because these are professional academics who have spent their time in their field explaining these sources. Although a text may be open to interpretation or have different viewpoints, a professional critical writer is probably not going to just get it wrong. So if you disagree, you want to be on a specific area or a reason and talk about why the text may be ambiguous or open to a different perspective. These essays, remember, are peer-reviewed. So not only did one academic write this and spend their work doing this, they also got it approved by other people in this field. So it's highly unlikely that everybody got this wrong. These authors are experts with extensive experience and research time. So be careful about that. So when we practice using literary criticism, we want to think about, again, what is the essay about? What's the thesis? What is one idea from the essay? I'm paraphrasing it. What elements does it connect to? Is it talking about the setting, the character, the language, the tone, the conflict, etc.? And what new idea did this give you about the article or the novel you're reading, the short story or the novel you're reading? All right. Today, what we're going to be doing is actually practicing using literary criticism and pulling out this information from it. So go look at your teachers, go look at your professor, your teacher's assignment for today, where you'll be using this information to actually practice reading and going through literary criticism yourself. Have a great day, guys.